Suicide is a global health problem. It affects people all over the world, regardless of your sex, religious affiliation, race, or even socioeconomic background. It is important to note that every year, over 700,000 people die as a result of suicide. 12.3 million people actually thought about suicide. 3.5 million people made a plan for suicide, and 1.7 million people have attempted suicide. Beyond this, suicide have a ripple effect. It impacts our society, communities, friends, and families who would have lost loved ones as it relates to suicide. Therefore, today, let me help you to debunk some of the myths as it relates to suicide. Now, if you're new to Kadian Stock Show, I want you to stop what you're doing, press that subscribe button, turn on your post notification bell so that when we post our next video, you'll be the first to know about it. Don't forget to tell a friend about Kadian Stock Show. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Kadian Stock Show. So today on Kadian Stock Show, we are going to discuss a very sensitive topic. A topic not a lot of persons enjoy talking about or feel comfortable to talk about. And so today, with me in helping to debunk some of these myths associated with suicide, we have Mr. Mackenzie and we also have Mrs. Right Hands. Now, we are not going to delay, and prior to today's presentation, we would have asked on our social media pages different questions as it relates to suicide. And throughout this presentation, I will be reading some of the comments or feedback from our viewers as it relates to what they think, as it relates to some of the topic that we would have posted. So we're going to get straight into it, because we know that suicide is a very sensitive topic, and it's one of those topics we really don't talk about, especially within our household. Suicide, a lot of stigma is actually associated with suicide, and so let's get straight into it. A lot of persons think that persons who suffer or who attempt suicide or who were successful at suicide are persons with mental health condition. What do you all feel?
Well, to me, some persons have mental issues, of course, and they don't know how to deal with it, even though they may seek help, reach out for help. But you have other persons who are not mentally ill, but because of the stress and strains of life and society, they feel the need to cut their life short and hence commit suicide in different ways, of course.
Okay, so Mackenzie?
I concur to that, because both, for even the regular person, as you just said, the person with the mental illness, person without, everybody go through their own challenges in life. Not everybody can manage those challenges. So, and not everybody has someone that they can talk to about it. So, unfortunately, some persons think about it in their lives.
Okay, so suicide only affects persons with mental health condition. That's actually a myth, because mental health condition are persons who suffers from various mental health condition. It not necessarily state that they have suicidal thoughts. It's just to say not all persons who have suicidal thoughts actually have a mental health condition, because as Mrs. Hines rightfully stated, there are several issues that would have contributed to a person's being in that depressive state of mind. And some of these issues include probably a recent divorce. When we look at persons who would have experienced trauma, we're talking about sexual abuse trauma, whether any type of abuse at home, so to speak. And these are some considerations that probably allow persons to feel as if their world is coming to an end. And so that's a myth as it relates to suicide.
Another thing, you have the kids as well. They feel pressured from their parents, so they feel the need of, okay, since she's always, or he or she as the parent is always, on me, bothering me, calling my name and saying all sorts of stuff, they just feel like, okay, let me just get rid of myself, because since I'm being a mother to you, might as well I end this for myself. So The kids as well is a fault, or not really a fault, but a part of this.
Yeah, and grief. Because
Right.
most times, people don't understand how you grieve. Everybody grieves different.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you lose that one person that always kind of back. That one person you could go to when there's nobody else. As I said before, when you lose that person and you don't have anyone to talk about your problems or to relate to, then
That is really ended, right?
Alright, so as stated, there are several factors that would have attributed to persons thinking about committing suicide. Now, one of the questions that was asked on our social media page is, do you think that people who post that they are thinking of contemplating suicide are attention seekers? So before I read my viewers' comment, I want to hear what you all think.
Well, yes, I believe some are attention seekers. Some, I think they just want their stories to be heard as well. But there are attention seekers. People just want to be seen, to be known, or so. But I don't think they really understand the seriousness of it. But there are also persons that really want people to realize that I've been trying to tell you that I've been hurt and no one is paying attention. This is the only way I can do it.
Okay. Alright, so one of our viewers' response stated, it may seem that way to the average mind, but folks like you and I know that it's a cry for help. And I heard Mr. Mackenzie saying that. It's them wanting someone to take them off the ledge before they do something stupid. And next person said, not completely, but to an extent, yes. When someone is really in a bad place or depressed, they don't really share it. They act the opposite. So inside they might be crying, but on the outside they would be the most cheerful person in a room. Another person said, no, I don't think. It's actually a cry for help, if anything. They want someone to reach out to stop them. And the final comment that I'll read under this section states, it's a conundrum of explanation. And the enemy waits until you are at your lowest by yourself and paints a picture of hopelessness mixed with guilt, etc. A bitter pill, turbo cocktail to digest. And so I am in agreement with some of these views that not all persons who actually post that they want to commit suicide are attention seekers. And in truth and in fact, yes, we do understand that you have some that just seeking attention, but you have the bulk or most who actually they are crying out for help.
Yeah.
And this is how they will go about crying out for help. Right? Now, how do you think persons who contemplate suicide or those persons who are successful at suicide, do you think they are selfish?
Yes, I think they are selfish. Why I think they're selfish? Because, okay, say for example we're in a relationship and we have our struggles and we are trying our best to find ways and means to make ends meet. You think that the easiest way is to get rid of your life, to kill yourself. No, we're supposed to be in this together. You left me all alone, especially if we have kids, for example. I'm all by myself, so you are selfish by leaving me all by myself. So I think some of these persons are selfish. Leave you in a situation, they took the easy way out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're selfish. I believe, as I said, they're not able to manage those emotions, those trauma that they went through. They're
But you
not
have
able.
some persons who are getting help.
Yeah, there are persons that are getting help, and sometimes even the help they're getting is not working for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, sadly, the case of suicide happens because they have reached out. So it's not like they were actually selfish. They reached out because they wanted help. They wanted to be here, but they reached out for help. They didn't get help. Some got the help, but the help wasn't enough. Again, it messed with the mental state and emotions. Sometimes emotion needs more than their actual thoughts of being alive. So when you think about death, it is like, all right, I can just get rid of this feeling, all of that. It's not. I'm sorry. That's why most times they write letters to say, I'm sorry I had to do this.
Yeah,
this was
but
the only
I'm
way.
thinking you're leaving me in all of this. You leave me in all of this, so you're being selfish towards me.
Yeah, but what? Think about it. They're leaving you in all of this.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're handling all of that. And they're thinking
But
about
say
they're
something.
thinking about them, and sometimes them coming to like their parents or so it feels like a burden to the parents too.
And also, let me help you, because that's one of the myths that is out there. That persons who die by suicide, they are actually selfish. And truth be told, these persons just don't know how to deal with the pain and the suffering that they are going through. And one way to end this pain and to end the suffering that they are going through is to just erase themselves from the equation. So it's not a matter of that they're selfish and they're only thinking about themselves, but it's because they really don't know how to deal with the pain that they are actually going through. Because remember, we said it, these persons are actually crying out for help. Alright, so we are going to move forward in another question that was asked on our social media platform. Do you think that people who contemplate suicide are weak? So before I read my response, I need to hear, what do you all think? Persons who contemplate suicide, do you think they are weak?
Weak in terms of what? Mentally weak?
Yeah, weak. Do you think they're weak?
No, they're not weak, they're just struggling. And they have no other way out, so that's what I think. I don't think they're weak.
Unfortunately, I believe there's always a way out. But weak, no, because even us differently, we don't think about suicide, but it's very hard going through stress. So just imagine what they're going through.
Alright. So someone said no, it takes strength to fight depression, and I do believe that.
Yes.
Somebody said we don't know what folks are going through. We don't know their pain or trauma. We can't say they're weak until we walk in their shoes. For some, the pain becomes too much, especially if there is no help for them. I don't believe they are weak. I believe they need support. And one said absolutely not. They are having a weak moment, but that doesn't define them. Now, so my next question to you is, as it relates to the myth surrounding suicide, another myth that is out there is that talking about suicide will lead to and encourage suicide. So they're basically saying if we talk more about suicide, it will lead and encourage more people to commit suicide. What do you think?
Oh Lord. So you're saying that if my friend plans to kill herself, I should do the same? Is that what persons are saying?
No, they're saying that, like, so we're here now spreading awareness as it relates to suicide. Do you think it will lead to persons now because they have enough information to want to commit suicide?
No, it encourages you now to seek help if you're in any situation, as you know, you feel like you're back against the wall, you need somebody to talk to. Now you're educating persons of how to reach out to get help in any situation there is.
Exactly, sensitization. In order to prevent it, you have to first inform. So inform them about where they could go for help. Seek it from a person you can trust, right? So you feeling like you want to end yourself, sometimes it's not really your thought. I mean, if I go into the religious perspective, it's not your thought. So go to your pastor if you're a church person. Go to your counselor if you're at school. Go to your parents even so, because they probably are going through all that thought as well, and they can tell you that it's not healthy, definitely, and it's something that happens to almost everybody. So they dealt with it that way, then maybe they can help you through it as well.
Alright, so as stated, that's one of the myths, because persons believe that if you sensitize and if you talk more as it relates to suicide, then persons will want to commit more suicide. But then, as we stated before, is that there's a stigma associated with suicide, and persons don't necessarily speak up about it. And I believe that the more we speak, the more we talk, the more we do campaigns, and the more we sensitize persons as it relates to suicide, how they can go about it, because it's not telling them how to go about doing suicide, but it's to help them to understand how do you go about getting help. What are some of the factors that would have contributed to persons? So you're helping them to identify probably what would have led them to be in this place in the first, this instance in the first place. And so I believe that spreading awareness is one of the key ways in which you can reduce the rates of suicide, because as stated in the introduction, over 700,000 people each year commit suicide, and this is worldwide. That's a lot, because one too many is too many people committing suicide, and it's because they really don't know how, and our responsibility is to help to bring awareness, is to help to educate, is to help to enlighten those persons who might be going through that dark period or that dark phase of their life.
But you have some of the kids as well who are partaking in, first of all, you normally think it's adults who are going out and killing themselves, but you have children doing it. If their parents speak to them harsh or they're disgruntled about a friendship, that's the first thing that may come to their minds. So we need to, as I said, educate them in schools and in our communities.
Okay. Alright, so how do we know when someone wants to contemplate suicide?
Wow. Well, I guess you can see signs, like how they speak. Like if you may be asking them a question, it's a random question on life, and someone say, boy, I'm not afraid for them. Like, if you have that now, everybody's talking about, oh, I'm afraid for them, not gonna happen. So I guess if you see how they speak, sometimes if they just sit by themselves, they're not communicating with anyone, they're not embracing person, they're just standoffish. So sometimes you know something is wrong. So maybe when you go as an adult or a friend, you reach out to that person, and then from there you can, where their mindset is at. So I guess you can stop them in their track from, from that perspective of wanting to hurt themselves.
I think, as Ms. Hines said, isolation mostly. I realize that that's a part of it, but also, those that think cutting themselves is fun, that's a part of it too, because it might seem like it's just something they want to do for fun, but you never know, they might just be contemplating until the final cut. Also, what I would suggest is that whenever a parent see a child that is isolated, their child that is isolated, once they have a friend, try to converse with that friend as well to see what are the thoughts your child going through.
Alright, so there are several warning signs that we can really look out for. And as you all rightfully say, if you see withdrawal, because isolation is one of those key factors, especially if that child has not been or wasn't that type of individual before, that would have been a little bit withdrawn. And you made mention about the cutting self-harm, and sometimes we take it for granted that, probably it's just something because they see their friend doing it, why they're doing it, or go back to probably the person seeking attention, and so we brush it one side.
What question is, with the cutting, do you think they really cut themselves to hurt in terms of committing suicide?
And then again, self-harm, it's self-harm, and it's them numbing the pain that they are experiencing. But you may never know when that cut might just get very deep. And so it is, any form of cutting is a cry for help. So that child is actually going through something and they're crying out for help.
Yes, but do you think they do it because they're trying to commit suicide?
You may never know what is in a person's thought. And so not everybody is actually brave enough to just put the rope around the neck and drown. Not everybody is brave enough to probably take the pill and swallow. And so persons will experiment different things. And so because persons will experiment different factors, you have to pay keen attention to every possible signs that you might see are coming.
And once you see it, you just think they're contemplating it. So you have to
treat it as such. So anybody that does self-harm is actually a risk that you need to, a student that you are a person that you need to pay keen attention to, or to find out what is happening to them.
Yes.
So I stated some of them do it for attention, but not everybody do it for attention. And so one way to find out is to ask, is to know what is happening. Is to try to just tap in the brain a little. Alright, so some of our viewers, one of the things that they say when they start speaking as if they don't want to be present for an event. For example, if the person say, it's a pity I won't be able to see you when you turn 13, or I hope when I'm gone you will remember me. Another, withdrawn or too active, too happy, way too happy, like out of the blue, that means they are saying goodbye. Another person said posting depressing posts or staying silent. And so basically, we looked at 3 myths as well as to explore some questions as it relates to suicide. Now, what final say do you have to anybody out there that is actually contemplating suicide or might be on the verge of giving up? Because, there are different things that will plunge persons into depression and to be thinking that this is it, life is not worth it, it makes no sense to live another day. What advice do you have for those persons right now?
Well, I would say God don't give you more than what you can bear. And there's always another way other than death, other than killing yourself. Seek help. Always seek help. Don't be afraid. As much as you're going through it, you're never alone. There's always somebody you can talk to. If it's not a family member, it's a friend. If it's not a friend, it's basically there are places, there are organizations that have persons that will speak to you, help you through your depression, help you through whatever you're going through. So always think there's a better way than death.
Okay, Miss Anne, so what's your thought?
As Mr. Mackenzie said before, we just need to seek help. You're never alone in any situation. I know sometimes you may say, okay, as Sir said, God don't give you more than what you can bear. But you're not thinking about God when you're in this situation. You're being, just thinking about yourself right now. So what you can do, please go out and get help. You must have someone in your corner that you can speak to. I know at times you want to say, oh, it's hard to trust the person because you tell them your situation and they go and tell other persons. But there's always one person you can go out and reach out to and get help from them. And if you want to, you can go to church. Maybe you're not a church goer, but you have church in your communities. You have community centers. You can go out, seek help. Sometimes what I do, you can find a stranger and tell them, because they don't know you, they don't know anyone you know, so you just tell them your situation and just vent to someone. Another thing you can do is find some music that you can listen to, something soothing that can take your mind sometimes from off your problems that you're facing. So please just reach out to anyone, someone that can deter you from hurting yourself.
Okay, so you heard it from them. Help is always out there. There's always somebody willing and able to help you. You might think that you are alone, you are facing this alone, but you're never alone. And all you need to do is just ask for help, whether it be a friend, a family member, whether it be a stranger, an organization. We have a suicide help hotline that you can call and you can just talk on the phone to this person. So you don't necessarily have to go in to sit in front of a counselor to de-stress and let out everything that is happening to you. But help is out there, and it's very much important to think about your mental health and your well-being and put it a priority. Take things a step at a time and a day at a time. Things will gradually improve. Things will gradually get better. Alright, so it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but eventually things will improve. So thank you for tuning in to Kadian's Talk Show, and I hope the information presented here today was very helpful and meaningful.